Welcome back to Positive Minds with Stephen Akindayomi. Our topic for today's episode is expectation guarantees disappointment. As we are in the month of February, when Valentine is celebrated almost everywhere on earth, I am doing this special edition of my podcast to encourage us to practice daily love, amongst all to bring fitting vibes to our world. I will jumpstart today's podcast by reminding us of the famous quote that says, "If you expect nothing from somebody, you are never disappointed." Remember, I am not in this world to live up to your expectations, and you are not in this world to live up to mine. When you stop expecting people to be perfect, you can like them for who they are. Expecting life to always turn out the way you want is guaranteed to lead to disappointment because life only has a way of surprising us. And when those unfulfilled expectations involve the failure of other people to behave the way you expect them to, the disappointment also leads to resentment. We are valuable, and what more? Our worth is inbuilt, our value is inborn. Wherever there is a condition, there is an expectation. Dr. Mas Moron said he estimates that 90% of all the problems in relationship have to do with expectation. For instance, consider this condition. As a husband, I expect you to cook for me. What then happens when you both work from 9 to 5 and she is exhausted when you get home? Expectation does guarantee disappointment. Supposing a man married a woman for her sleek curves and she married him for his well-defined physique. What happened after 10 years and 3 children? She cannot get her curves back, and his chest has dropped into his stomach. If the physical appearance was the reason for love, there's going to be disappointment. Disappointment then leads to division, which results in the possibility of divorce. Like the author of The Little Prince book said, "For true love is inexhaustible. The more you give, the more you have. And if you go to draw at the true fountain head, the more water you draw, the more abundant is its flow." We need agape love, which is love without reason or condition. I challenge you from this Valentine's Day forward to examine your motive for loving others and destroy these conditions, because reason runs the risk of destroying your relationships. The purpose of today's podcast is to discuss how expectations in all ramifications can be damaging and lead to disunity. If you spend your life concentrating on what everyone else thinks of you, will it change who you really were? What if the face you shown the world turned out to be a mask with nothing beneath it? So stay tuned as we further brainstorm on today's topic. Thank you for sitting back on this episode of my podcast. Just a reminder, as I normally encourage us to please keep safe. I know we are all going through one or two difficulties or challenges at this moment, and I hope you guys are doing well out there. And I will use this opportunity to just share what happened within the course of the week with me. Some years ago, I think it was between 2 and 3 years ago, when I joined a local church, I met a brother and he approached me to join the drama team, and I did. And it was a good time, which I enjoyed. And the reason why I'm saying this is that I got a bad news from someone that the brother passed away just some days ago, and this is saddening. So I'll be dedicating my episode of podcast to him. His name is Femi, and I pray that God will console his wife and his family and everyone that his death has affected in one way or the other. And may his soul continue to rest in peace. Back to our message for today. During my time in voluntary service with the Samaritans in the UK, which involved dealing with couples, one very problematic expectation was the tradition a spouse carries from their family or origin into their marriage. For example, a man expects his wife to take care of the house and responsibilities the same way his mother did. A small hint: one should never be compared to their partner's parent. This is a standard they will never live up to. It is absolutely unfair and unrealistic. It is okay for your partner to have some traits and characteristics of your parent. As the saying goes, we often end up marrying our mom or dad. Some search for these traits because it provides a sense of security. And security in a relationship is generally what people seek. But if you expect your partner to be as polished as your parent, you are holding them up to an impracticable expectation. The rules of expectations uses expectation to influence reality and create results. Individuals tend to make decisions based on how others expect them to perform. If you believe in someone, show confidence in them. Expect them to succeed. You will see different results. Studies show that it is actually good to have high expectations when it comes to your relationship. It is healthy to have expectation of respect, affection, intimacy, time together, etc. Being in a healthy relationship means you are getting your needs met by a person you love and trust. Another way expectation can destroy your relationship is when you expect your partner to do things that you never communicated to them. How can they possibly do this? They are your partner, not mind readers. For example, let's take this scenario of you expecting a certain birthday or anniversary gift. Just because it is not the extravagant gift or idea you had in mind does not mean they didn't put any thought into it. Or expecting dinner to be ready when you get home, or duties with the children to be done after a long day at work. When you begin thinking of things they should do for you and it is not done, you are left with disappointment. However, when one's expectations are not met, it can result in tremendous disappointment, frustration, and resentment. One's expectation can be set by past experience or by an ideal fantasy of what one wants to have happen. One set of expectations that I feel is also very damaging is the expectation of changing your partner. I'm not sure what motivates a person to think they can change someone, but it happens all the time. Unless they are causing harm to you or themselves, why would you want to change them? If they are causing harm, then you need to seek the proper help Some people might think it is harmless to try to change their partner's wardrobe or activities they are participating in, but it can cause damage. They begin to lose themselves. Just as important as it is to share interests, it's equally important to have independence in your relationship. William Shakespeare once said, "Expectation is the root of all heartache." Ask yourself a question. Have you ever been disappointed because something did not turn out the way you expected? Why did you have such a strong belief something would happen? We all have had high expectations at one point or another, only to be disappointed when things did not turn out the way we wanted. It can get the best out of us at a given moment. When those expectations are not met, we need to keep in mind the way it affects us. It is not fair to place the burden of unachievable standards on your partner or vice versa. In the end, both parties are affected. Resentment, anger, and disappointment can develop towards each other. These expectations are fantasy and false hope that ruin your idea of your partner. Some people never realize the unwarranted damage they cause because of these inflated ideas. Like I quoted earlier, that 99% of all the problems in relationships have to do with expectation. Common among us is setting high expectation on yourself, which is the worst of them all. Many times men think they have to live up to a certain standard, such as being the breadwinner, the rock of the family, and be Mr. Do-It-All. Women have set expectations of running the home with the children, keeping the house clean, and cooking dinner every night. Many of these expectations come from society and our very culture. However, it is okay to ask for help. All of these duties can put a lot of pressure on everyone, which can lead to stress, anxiety, and depression. Taking care of the home is a team job. It is important both partners help each other in these duties, but hiring a maid, nanny, or even getting help from other family members is okay. Quality relationships are products of empathy, good communication, conflict, commitment, and love. I'll be rounding this episode off by explaining the above listed qualities. First is the empathy. Sometimes arguments reach a deadlock because neither party is willing to listen to what the other is saying. But listening to one another and trying to understand how each other is feeling does not mean changing your own idea or even necessarily admitting you are wrong. It just means showing your partner you care about how they are feeling and that you are willing to make the effort to meet in the middle if necessary. Even if you've known your partner a long time, try to step in their shoes and recognize that they may see some things differently to you. Second one is communication. It is an obvious one, but bear repeating. Communication is one of the most important skills in any relationship. Being able to clearly and constantly state how you are feeling will mean that those little complaints that might otherwise develop into something worse can be resolved early on. It's also worth remembering that communicating does not just mean being able to make your own point well, but learning to listen to what your partner is saying too. Try to employ active listening. When you are talking together, don't just wait for your turn to speak, but really listen to what they are saying. Repeat what they are saying back to them and ask them to clarify things. Don't always assume you know what they mean immediately. Third one is conflict. People often think of arguing as naturally bad. But if there is no conflict whatsoever in your relationship, there is a good chance someone is holding something back. Differences between you and your partner are pretty much inevitable. It is how you deal with those differences that counts. Sometimes it is a case of trying to argue better. Try to use a soft start that focuses on your feelings instead of attacking your partner. So, I'm so upset you forgot our anniversary, rather than, how could you be so insensitive? You didn't even get me a card. Try to avoid letting things spill out of control. Don't say things you will regret later or just trade insults. And be prepared to be forgiven. It is only when both parties are willing to let go of their desire to win the argument that it can actually end. Commitment. In a long-term relationship, commitment means being willing to work on difficulties together, planning for the future together, and clarifying and protecting the boundaries you've agreed on. This takes persistence and hard work, but the rewards are more than worth it. And in the short term, you can also make commitment from moment to moment. Even if you are on the first date with someone, it is important you are able to give things your full attention and show interest instead of wondering what else you could be doing or letting your mind get clouded over with doubts. The final one on my list is love. The ancient Greeks had 3 words for love. I will try and break this final given of my tip into 3 parts. Eros. This is erotic love. It means being attracted to each other. It is the spark that makes your relationship feel exciting and special. The second one under love is philia. This means friendships. It's the feeling of understanding one another, enjoying each other's company, and having shared interests. Philia could simply refer to close friendship or brotherly love. It is one of the 4 types of love in the Bible. This form of love is used to describe a love of equals who are united in a common purpose. Thus, philia refers to love based on mutual respect, shared devotion, joint interests, and common values. It is the love near and dear friends have for one another in a common word like my nearest and dearest friend. The last under love is agape love. This means being prepared to go out of your way for other person or put them first. It might be something small like helping them with a task even though you are really tired, or something big like caring for them during their underlying illness or after surgery. A relationship with all 5 of the above will flourish. But if any one of them is lacking, you might find things more challenging. That does not mean you can't get there, but it might be worth thinking about ways you could focus more on what is missing. If you think you might need help with this or any of the other relationship skills listed on this podcast, you might like to try relationship counseling, or feel free to discuss with me. A friend once asked, "What advice will you give me before I get married?" I responded, "Don't expect your marriage to fix itself. You still have to work for it every single day." Experience has taught me that both partners have to work harder to keep it. I've seen couples who think that just because they are married, problem will fix themselves. That's not how it works. In the real sense, they are taking the relationship and their partner for granted. Be attentive to each other's feelings, needs, and wants. If you feel you need help with fixing your problem, finding a marriage and family therapy can be the answer. Too many times, I've seen couples seek help when it is too late. One partner already has their foot out of the door of the relationship. You do not want to get to a point where the problems are beyond repair. Lastly, setting unrealistic expectations on your relationship can only lead to frustration and disappointment. You have to remember no one is perfect and everyone has faults. It is great to set goals in your relationship, but let's make sure these are realistic goals. Can you try this my little finding and see if it works out for you? Imagine that life is like a puzzle, and each day we pick up a few more pieces. Every piece we find gives up a little more information about our lives and their direction. Use this clue to learn about what you need in life, and don't forget to collect them all. Thank you once again for joining me on this episode titled "Expectation Guarantees Disappointment." I can't wait to be back and to hear from you. You can always email me at info@stevenakindayomi.com, and you can link up with me on any social media platform or via my website www.stevenakindayomi.com. Till we meet again, I remain your host, Steven Akindayomi. Bye for now and stay blessed. Be positive.